What you are saying has been said many times, in many places, in many different ways, and is always just as magnificent. And it is that we must try to be our best and hope for the best and always do our best to do our best. And that means tolerance, and that means an extent of understanding, and that means withholding judgment, even if it is clear in our mind if that judgment is going to cause pain, because we might be wrong, generally speaking, and not rushing around telling other people that they're wrong simply because they're not exactly like who we are, or who we would wish we were. 08700 40 50 60. Let's put Chris through to air in the world. Chris, you're on Talksport.
Hi, yeah, back, to the gay debate. I know it might sound awful, but... Well, all I'm calling about is, does it really matter?
Yeah.
What people think? I mean...
Yeah, it does.
People are going to be what they're going to be. It doesn't really... I mean...
It does, because there are people out there who wish terrible harm. If prayer has a power, do you believe prayer has any power?
Not really.
Well, I do.
No, fair enough. I mean, people's opinions are people's opinions, but...
I know, but I think that if you have an enormous number of people, and I suspect that probably the majority of adults, particularly within a particular generation...
Yes, definitely.
I think probably do wish harm on people just because they're homosexual.
I know, but all I'm saying is...
That matters.
Yeah, it matters, but people are going to think what they're going to think anyway. So whatever you want to be, just be it. It doesn't really matter.
But it's worth...
It might matter to some people, but whatever you want to be in yourself, I mean...
I'm not quite clear what you mean when you say, does it matter?
Well, all I'm trying to say, really, is people are going to be what they're going to be.
Mm. Well, all right.
There's no two ways about it.
Just go around like they do.
I want you to make up your own life as you go along, rather than fall into an institution where... I mean, you think people are being... Look, let's connect two things you've said, right? You think that people are being pressurised into doing something that they might not want to do.
And I see it all around me every day.
I haven't finished. I've got a point to make, and we'll see whether you can pick it up, all right? Here you are saying that you don't think that people should be pressurised by other people, okay? And yet you want to join one of the services where all day and all night long you'll be doing exactly as you're told for 7 years. And if that isn't pressure from elsewhere, I don't know what is. If you want to be free, if your thing is freedom from pressure, you do not want to join one of the services. Do you see my point?
Yeah, I see your point. I see where you're coming from, but...
Thank you, Joel. Come on, there's a whole big beautiful world out there. I'm always saying this, there's Africa to go and see, and there's Australia. You've got to do Australia while you're young. And America, fantastic place. South America, whoa. Unbelievable. Travel. It'll help you make sense of wherever you decide to live. You've got to go around the world, or at least see parts of the world, not just, go to a day trip to Dieppe and then 3 holidays in Spain. That isn't it. No. You want to see the world, don't do it with the Navy. Do it by yourself, or with a, beautiful woman or something, I don't know. 08700 40 50 60 is the number. You're tuned to Talksport. My name is Tommy Boyd. The experiment in total broadcasting democracy continues. Calls going to air unscreened, uncensored, unsculpted, totally at random. You can say whatever it is you want to say. You won't be interrupted or cut off. Or 08700 40 50 60. I think you catch my drift. Let's go to line 6. Line 6, you're live on Talksport. Hello.
Oh, hello. Can I speak to Tommy, please?
You're on the air right now. This is Tommy. Hello. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air, so off you go. Crikey. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, you are on the air now, and you are speaking with Tommy now.
Right.
Right.
Is it there?
Pardon?
Is it there?
Yes.
Right, go on.
What do you mean, go on? All right, then. Your starter for £1. Who won the FA Cup in 1992? Oh, hard lines, but thank you very much for playing.
Oh, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, is that Tommy?
Yes, this is Tommy, yes.
Hey, do you know, when I was at school, I used to come home and watch you on Rodcast.
Yeah.
But you don't look a year older.
No. Alcohol it is. Alcohol and cigarettes.
He's pickled.
Alcohol and cigarettes. You never ever see a 100-year-old person interviewed without the bloke from Meridian saying, Agnes, to what do you attribute your longevity? And Agnes always says, sherry, or port, or a little tipple every evening.
Yeah, and they had that woman on, didn't they?
Yeah.
But you don't look. I watched you the other day on Through the Keyhole.
Oh, yeah.
I weren't really watching it.
No. It's the kind of thing you just have on whilst you're ironing.
What it were, your name came up.
Yes.
Tommy Boyd. I don't know him off the radio. And I watched your interview.
Mm.
I didn't even watch it else.
It's been lovely talking to you. Can I just ask you one question before you go?
What?
When was the last time you voted in a general election?
I always vote
Oh, who do you vote for?
Labour.
Pardon?
Labour.
Jolly good. Thank you for your call.
Okay.
Nice to talk to you. See, if I was a politician, I mean, I'd accept any vote, obviously. But if I was a politician, I would be slightly uneasy. This is where this show works, I think, is like this. You get a feel of who people really are, the whole thing. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. When you read a letters page in a newspaper, you do not get a real idea of who you're sharing planet Earth, or in particular this country, with. It's only when you open the floodgates like this that you get a better picture, better perspective on it. And the first thing, if you've got half a brain cell, that you start to think, I think, is, my God, there must be a fundamental flaw with democracy. I'm not casting aspersions about the calibre of our last caller there. It's just something that flashed through my mind whilst I happened to be talking with her. Okay, let's make that absolutely clear. But you see if I'm not right.
You're right, man.
You think about that over the next 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm right, aren't I?
Well, that's why I don't think there's any point in voting.
I
mean,
never
if
vote.
people have got the vote who, what's the point anyway?
I never vote.
There's no point in it.
I voted the once, and what it was I felt sorry for some people who came round and said that they'd run me to the polling booth if I was there. I said I was too busy to vote, and they said they'd run me to the polling booth, and I felt so sorry for them and their humber snipe. And so I did. And that's the only time I ever voted.
I mean, if you really do want to change something,
Yeah.
you've got to basically revolt, because you can't do it in the democratic way.
There's that. There's the other thing I think is sad about voting, is that what you're effectively doing is you're asking other people to do things for you. And I think that has to reduce your sense of control about the world in which you live. I don't believe that politicians can actually do anything that's really going to change how things are for me, because those things are... It's for me to work out my own perceptions and improve my own perceptions. I'm not going on anymore about this, you know what I mean?
You're right, man.
I think I'm right, but and I almost understood myself there for a minute. Line 2, you are live on... Let's try line 3. Line 3, you're live on Talksport. Good evening.
Hi, Tommy.
Hello.
I don't want to get too religious, but I was just wondering what your whole aspect of and overview of life was. Like whether you believe there's heaven, hell, sort of like that.
I think what I keep coming back to is this idea that there's more to heaven and earth than we know, and more to heaven and earth than we can ever know. We're just not clever enough to grasp what it might be. But that doesn't stop me trying to find out.
Do you believe in God or anything, or...?
Well, I think I just explained, didn't I, that
Yeah.
I'm not clever enough to work out who God might be or what it might be, but that doesn't stop me hoping and trying to work out. It might be nothing, I don't know. How can you... Look, there's nowhere near enough proof to make you certain that there's a God, is there?
No, I'm not saying there is a God. I was just interested in your
I'm
opinion.
just saying, how can people possibly be certain there's a God? You can't be certain there's a God, not if you've got half a brain. But on the other hand, when you look around you, it's very difficult to look at some of the things that there are, the universe and everything. You can't possibly be certain that there isn't a God, that something hasn't devised much of what it is we've learned and can see. So you have to be an agnostic. You know what that is, don't you?
Could you enlighten me on that one, please, Tommy?
Agnosticism. Well, I mean, it's quite complicated, actually. It had to do with the Gnostics, who were originally a French bunch, as I understand it. But agnosticism basically is you don't know.
Well, changing the subject slightly, about 2 weeks ago, so you
Did that help? Did that help at all?
Yeah, it was interesting.
Right.
I saw you on Through the Keyhole, and you were saying about the dolphins. You had a really good time with the dolphins, didn't you?
Interesting time.
And also, one more thing, are you going to be watching the wrestling tonight, Tommy, SummerSlam?
I'm not going to be able to watch it because I'll be travelling home, but my sons are watching it, and when I get in, since it's a bank holiday tomorrow, my sons have dispensation to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning, and when I get in, they'll bring me up to date on what gives, and I'm sure I know just how it will climax. It'll be The Rock and Triple H alone, head-to-head, in the ring. Because it always is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the way it always goes.
All right, but I'll catch up on it. Cheers.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, see you, Tommy. Bye.
Bye. Phone. Hello? Damn. That could have been fun. Not for me.
They were scared then.
Good. Line 5.
Karen?
Hello?
Karen, who's on line 5? Tommy from West Sussex. Welcome aboard, Tommy. I want to meet Tommy. Jamie, we're coming to the studio for it's a phone show, sir. What do you mean Chris wants to say? Chris wants to say, but he's angry. It was a category for a show, sir. But Susie, sir, it was a category. Don't be Susie, sir. Bring along your orthodontist in the category. He's probably saying Carol and Mitch in the other stuff. Don't worry about it, sir. Anyway, Tommy, we're moving egg bonus, sir. Of course, Southampton and Sunderland. What do you want to know about it for?
Very good, actually, if you don't mind me saying so, sir. That's very good. Nearly.
Yeah? Who was it meant to be?
Who was it meant to be? Well, it was you, wasn't it? I thought
it was meant to be Danny Baker.
Oh, was it? No.
No.
Bruce Forsyth, more like.
Oh, no, yeah, Bruce Forsyth.
Yeah, a bit over the top. All right.
I'll tell you what a good one to do, though. What about Bruce Forsyth doing Danny Baker? Hey, I like those. No, go with it. I must admit, I do have a telephone voice on occasions if I really need to get something done by a company. And I do find that if I get on the phone and I say, could I possibly speak to the managing... No, could I speak to the managing director, please? Like that, it happens.
Absolutely.
But if I say, I wonder if you can help me, I've got a problem with my iron, which my wife bought a couple of days ago.
Yeah. I can fob that off easy.
Get fobbed off totally straight away. So we had a problem with the bathroom we were having put in. And I did that. I phoned and I said, yes, could I speak to the managing director, please? Thank you. Like that. And it just got put straight through. And he was on the back foot straight away. When I said, I don't have your name, this is Mr. Boyd. And he said, isn't it Mr. Leipzig here? So, telephone manner.
Telephone manner.
Everything
just politeness and etiquette, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, so nice to talk to you.
Thanks for your call. And I definitely class you amongst the top talent in speech radio this country has to offer. Yes, that's absolutely true. What do you mean, amongst? I mean, I have no difficulty with this. I'm the best broadcaster in any language there's ever been.
This side of Afghanistan.
I have no trouble with that. Why should I have any trouble with that? That's what we should all say to ourselves a bit more often. So insecure, we people. Chris, have you heard from Charterboy? P.S. Love your show, Chris. No, Charterboy hasn't rung, but I got Charterboy by telling Charterboy that he was going to ring again soon. That was how much he was hooked on this type of radio. This is a guy who claimed he was a pilot, an airline pilot, and he rang about 5 or 6 weeks ago to complain about the format of the programme. He asked to be put through to the presenter. The format of the programme, of course, is that you are straight on air. If you've listened for any amount of time, you will understand that. So how can you complain about a format without fully or without understanding it in the slightest? So it was quite delightful to have this trump card in your back pocket whilst this bloke blithered on about how free-form radio was a disgrace to mankind and that we need structure in life and organisation, and you can't just put anybody on the air. That's not why we pay a licence fee. And he was yakking on like that. And then just pulled out the old trump card, and we had a good old ding-dong. Stuart, I think his name is, or was, as young airline pilots do tend to be called, Stuart and Craig and things like that. They used to be called Simon, didn't they, airline pilot? Hello, this is your pilot, Simon speaking. Just to let you know, we've reached our cruising speed and are at our altitude of 25,000 feet. Visibility pretty good. Temperature at Las Palmas Airport is very warm. That's nice. It's good. Yeah, okay. Nice one. Ash is fun. Okay. Well, hello, this is your pilot speaking, Simon. Just to let you know that we have reached our cruising altitude of 28,000 feet. We're up to speed. We have a tailwind of no great significance, but it probably means we'll be touching down a few moments early. The temperature on the ground in Las Palmas is pretty warm at 82 degrees, and I'll be getting back to you when we're crossing the Pyrenees. In the meantime, wish you a pleasant journey, and thank you very much indeed for flying with us. And then they just put the autopilot on and put their feet up and do the crossword. Anyway, they think they're the beast.
Have a bottle of wine.
They all drive Saabs.
You're not going to get breathalyzed, are you, at 40,000 feet?
I don't know.
No one's going to pull you over.
I know you can't drive a train if you've had a drink in the 24 hours beforehand. They're very strict on that. I would have thought airline pilots would have been the same. I would have thought.
Well, I heard someone, and they went in, I don't know if it was a British airline.
Go on.
It wasn't, in fact. And they went in, and there was a bottle of wine, and they were all, some of them were a bit worse for wear in the cockpit. And
Well, it's a very sexual thing, isn't it, though, flying? And you can imagine, if you were a long-haul pilot, okay, you're naturally good-looking. You don't get ugly pilots. I reckon they almost vet them like they vet stewardesses. Pilots are always sort of slightly lantern-jawed, good features, good head of hair, they just look good with those epaulets that they have. Well, epaulets make a man look good, don't they? And the peaked cap and everything. No wonder the stewardesses are falling all over them.
And the wings they have on their lapel.
And then they fly these guys to Rio de Janeiro, and they've got like a 17-hour turnaround, so they all go to the same hotel. You see the stewardesses pulling their change of clothes out of the beautiful limo that's taken them to the hotel, a 5-star hotel, just up from Rio de Janeiro airport. And there's like 5 stewardesses and two male pilots. A pilot and what do you call it? A navigator, co-pilot. Co-pilot, I don't know. And do you think there's a party in room 316? Nah.
Mind you, these hostesses, you know what they like to do?
Go on.
They like to go down the casino.
Yes?
I used to see a lot of these women, hostesses, and they'd be at the casino, gambling all their money.
Yeah. Well, one of my favourite lines in Cheers, do you ever watch Cheers?
Yeah.
Sammy came in the morning, lunchtime, and something had happened. I can't remember what it was, but Norm and Cliff Claven they'd been discussing an achievement of Sammy's the previous day. And it was the first time they'd seen Sammy since this achievement. So he came in, see, this is like 11 o'clock in the morning, and they go, "Hey, Sammy, congratulations!" And Sammy, misunderstanding, just turns to them and goes, "What? She was only a stewardess." I went out with a girl once who had been a stewardess, and she insisted that she was called a hostess because she said that stewardess sounded sleazy.
Yes, because they have those stewardesses in... they're hostesses in Japan and stuff, and they do things.
You better get that. It's not possible to look at them doing the thing with their life jackets without thinking thoughts. Have you noticed that? I'm not alone in this. It's not possible to look at a nice lady, a lovely lady, standing up in front of you, wanting you to look at her. Because most women who are like airline staff, you can't look at them. You can't stare at a woman like that. If a woman like that is walking towards you in the street, you can't look at her. You can't hold your gaze on her. She'll be offended. Quite rightly so. And if she's, in a swimming costume around the pool, you can't look at her unless you've got mirrored sunglasses, which is what they're there for. But you're on a plane, and so you're feeling quite good about yourself, and you've got about to get a gin and tonic, and suddenly there's a woman standing 15 feet in front of you, 5'10", properly built, and she's saying, "I want you to look at me for the next 3 minutes." And how can you not let your thoughts roam? 08700 40 50 60.
And they lean over with the coffee.
Yes.
And they're told how to lean over.
I'm
There's
told.
an actual technique to how to do it.
From the hips and all that.
From the hips and swivel the shoulders.
08700 40 50 60.
Thank you.
Because this mate of mine who's a teacher locally said a bloke came into school and complained that his son was having, this is a true story, his son was having his pencils stolen by other pupils, and this was a disgrace. And this is what the man then said to the headmistress. He said, it's the principal that's involved here. It's the principal. It's not the pencils. I can get all the pencils I want from work. 08700 40 50 60, or you can email the show by going to our website, talksport.net, click on the button that says email the show. This email from Stuart in Worcestershire. What do the elephants get for lunch at London Zoo?
I don't know.
30 minutes, same as the lions. That's good. I like that. The notion is the job of work to stand there overhanging that kind of ditch with your trunk waving, you know, is a gig. Very good, very good, very good. 08700 40 50 60. I'll take jokes on the email. And then, you know, we can sort of vet them beforehand, which would be the wise thing. And I've also had a number of emails from people wanting advice on what to do with their lives. It's probably the one that is worth chewing over. He doesn't feel safe. You'll never feel safe. The poet said all men lead lives of quiet desperation, and they do, apart from Ash.
Even I do.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Do you lead a life of quiet desperation?
Yeah.
Oh.
All men do.
You do?
Yeah.
You do?
Well, I mean, what does the chap... I mean, what university is it? What
well,
course?
exactly. You haven't got enough to go on. That's
There's
the
not
trouble with
enough
an email.
data.
No,
Because I
you
could
do
give him a straight answer.
Yeah.
You tell me the university, the course, and what he wants to do. I could
thought
tell him
that.
what he wants to do.
I thought that.
But
He
without
said,
that...
He said top uni, but what's a top uni? It's not Oxcam, otherwise he'd say Oxcam.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably Keele.
Yeah, exactly. And any other university apart from Oxford and Cambridge, right? You can go there and have as much fun as you can have in doing anything, really.
Of course you can. I chose to go to Brighton because it was Brighton.
Yeah.
I could have gone to Bradford.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't go to Bradford if you can go to Brighton.
Exactly.
I mean, sorry, it's not offensive to Bradford. I know people in Bradford going, yeah, well, dead right.
There's a lot worse place than Bradford.
Oh, God.
I mean, you got Leeds nearby.
Oh, listen, Brighton doesn't sing from corner to corner.
No.
You know.
But you got the sea and everything.
You have. 08700 40 50 60. And the nicest thing that ever happened to me in Brighton was, it was Steve's 21st, and so we decided to have a drink in every single pub all the way along the seafront of Brighton. So we started at Kemp Town, and we had one and then two, and then by the time we had 8, I was swimming between the piers and felt unwell. And it was back in the days when the National Union of Miners were still a serious union, and they used to have their conference sometimes in Brighton. So it was about midnight, and I was swimming between the two piers, and I came out the beach onto the shingle, and obviously I was unwell, and there were a whole big bunch of Yorkshire miners there, and they realised that I was not compos mentis. So what they did was they took me back to their hotel, right, and they didn't know who I was, but poor lad, he's not well, he can't look after himself, we'll sort him out. They took me back to their hotel. One of the miners gave me his bed and he slept on the floor. This is miners for you. Credible people. He slept on the floor. I had his bed. They gave me a big tot of whiskey to make sure I'd sleep. And one of them even got a fag down me, even though I wasn't smoking at the time. I woke up about 7 o'clock in the morning and had to get home because I felt completely disoriented and unwell. And they were all snoring like Billy-O, and, you know, the camaraderie of it. If you're not a miner, you'll never know what it was like, but I got sort of a whiff of it in that hotel room that evening. It was that morning. It was fantastic. It's one of the things I remember about being a student. That's why if you get a chance to be a student, be a student. Be a student. It's as good as it gets. But the fear is still there, and you never feel safe. People with juggy, sticky-out ears, you know, who are too friendly with their cousins. Why would aliens abduct them?
Exactly.
Why would aliens abduct morons?
Genetic abnormality, they would.
Why would aliens abduct morons? What would be the point? What would they know? What would they need to know about morons?
They just need to watch the Jerry Springer show if they wanted that.
It's Jerry Springer people that get abducted
too.
in America.
Yeah.
You're live on Talksport. Who's this?
Hi, Tommy, it's David.
Hello, David.
Hi. Just following on from something you said earlier, if anyone wants absolute mathematical proof of God's existence, contact the Christadelphians. They can prove it through prophecy. I think they're in every major town and city. You can get them on the phone, and they can prove it through prophecy, mathematically prove it.
Well, do you believe this?
Yeah,
Fantastic. You're ever so lucky. I do envy you.
Well, all you've got to do is look into it. It's just most people don't want to. Christadelphians, you can contact them they're in most cities, and they're the best theologians in the country, I'd say. But if anyone wants to wait, here's a bit of proof for you. In 3.5 years' time from September, there will be a war around Israel. When that happens, humble yourself because the second coming of Jesus will immediately follow. You just remember that. Write that down and remember that. 3.5 years from now, it'll start.
I've got a life to lead. I'm not going to write that down, and I'm not going to spend the next 3.5 years waiting for it. I've got a life to lead.
You've got a life to lead for 3.5 years, though, Tom.
Cobblers.
Empiricism. You've got to look past all the blindness.
Shut up.
Well, you're blinded by it all, aren't you?
No, I'm open to it. You're a sheep. Bah. You're a sheep.
The goats burn.
You're a sheep. Oh yeah, that's it, isn't it? Everybody else is going to be tortured by your God who doesn't believe what you do.
Tom, you're in rebellion. There is a God, and we're borrowed.
You're too stupid.
We didn't make ourselves.
You're too stupid to understand God.
You're too blinded by empiricism. You're brainwashed. You've brainwashed yourself, Tom. God has made a fool of the wisdom of this world. You're self-deceived.
Well, you know, the trouble is...
You've double-bluffed yourself. You've double-bluffed yourself.
Shut up.
3.5 years' time, remember that.
No, I won't remember that. He's going to slam the phone down. Honestly. I really think that Christians should be denied the vote. Because, I mean, what do they want to use the vote for anyway? What does the vote matter to Christians? They're off. They're away with the fairies. They're hand in hand with a God who is going to blowtorch and pliers everybody who doesn't worship it. Cobblers. Actually, that bloke there wanted everybody to be frightened. He wants you to be frightened. He wants you to follow him, because if you don't, you're going to... What's worse, though? This is a good question, this. What is worse? Dying, and that being the end of it, or spending eternity in hell? What's worse? That is a very good question. Somebody emailed me that a while ago, and I haven't forgotten that. Because, you see, David, that caller had a brain. That emailer, I should say, had a brain and a little bit of originality, and he wasn't trying to frighten people. And we don't like people who go around trying to frighten people. You're nasty. You're a nasty piece of work. Don't call me again, ever. Not until you've found the light, which is agnosticism, which is the only way. Line to work, right? You go into a pub and you say to the landlord, can you settle an argument? How many pints in a quart? Is it 1 or 2 or 4? And the landlord says 2. Then about half an hour later, you go up to the barman, if the landlord is somewhere else in the pub, and you go, 2 pints on the house, please, the landlord said. And the barman looks for the landlord, and you turn around and you shout, that's right, isn't it, 2 pints? And the landlord goes, yep, 2 pints. I've always been meaning to try it. It's a thought. 08700 40 50 60.
It's a good one, man.
Yeah.
You got to try it.
You're tuned to Talksport. My name is Talksport. Hello. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Oh, that could have gone on. That could have gone on.
I was enjoying that.
I was enjoying it. It was working quite well, little fella. Whoever it was. Thank you for that. Line 5. It's always saying that we should decriminalise the F word, because that way all you do is you disarm a bunch of people who are otherwise equipped with a word which is meaningless. It causes no pain, it causes no hardship, it causes no poverty, it causes no bloodshed. But you equip certain people with this word and they will use it in order to try and upset people. Now, if that word is no more offensive than daffodil, you know, little old ladies on the bus, if they hear 2 lads in their denim jackets one morning going, I'll tell you what, I seen a daffodil football yesterday, and what about that daffodil bloke, Tony Adams? Yeah, he's a daffodil good player. Well, little old ladies are not going to be damaged or offended, and they're going to go to the post office and pick up their gyro and what have you, and, you know, fine. So decriminalise the F word.
blanket sky.
Are you there, caller? That's very good. Hello? I don't think he's going to come to the phone. It's a pity, because the opening bit was quite good. I just wanted to explain that it's even better from our point of view if you can improve, if you can get just the technicals as good as possible, so that people at home, because not everybody's radio is 1,000%. Most of my radios at home are covered in paint. You know, you really need to get the technicals right up there, and that one wasn't quite right up there. I don't know why that was.
Yeah. Get in touch with your engineering department.
Bar power is...
Robert calls now from Chelsea, just ahead of Phyllis in Braintree. Robert, you're on Talksport. Good evening.
Yeah, is your wife pleasurable?
She certainly is. However, she's been very tired over the last few days because she's just back at work.
You know what I mean?
I kind of know what you mean, and yet at the same time, and this will happen to me as well, and it happens to me when I think I might be dying, I say to myself, I want to live, and I don't care if it's dead from the neck down, because we're all afraid of dying, aren't we?
We are.
Yes,
we are, because I've had 3 heart attacks, and I can tell you I am afraid of dying.
Afraid of dying. And actually, very few things erode our quality of life than the black psychology of fearing death.
Yes.
But can we conquer our fear of death?
I don't know.
Which arrives when we're perhaps 3 or 4 or 5 years of age.
Oh, does it? It's not young as that.
Don't you remember when the budgie died? Or Granny?
Yeah. Oh, when my little cat died. Oh, yes, I know. That just frightened me. Yes, that's right.
So, nothing erodes our fear of our quality of life quite as much as something which we can control, because it's psychological. But can we control it?
No.
No.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe we can't, maybe we can. But thank you for your call, Phyllis. I'm inclined to believe that the answer doesn't lie in saying that it's disgusting and disgraceful and dreadful these days. 40, 50, 60... Dee's called and to say that I was very condescending to Phyllis, who was obviously very upset. Well, Dee, I suppose I could have said the obvious thing, which is that, yes, the waiting lists for the National Health Service are dreadful, but, you know, what have you learnt then? You know, you've got to try exploring other things, haven't you, other thoughts. You've got to look at the world from as many different new aspects as possible, because who knows, one of them might just turn out to be a clearer vision than the one solitary standpoint from which you've always viewed everything, where British rail sandwiches are curled at the corners, where British Leyland are always on strike, and where hospital waiting lists are dreadful. But maybe there's another way of looking at things, that's all. That's what you've got to do. And it's never too late for people to do that. Just because somebody's elderly doesn't mean to say that they've got to be patronised. If somebody calls this show, doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter which niche group within society they might claim to belong to or appear to belong to, I like to treat everybody as absolutely equal. Elderly, handicapped, very young, whatever. As far as I'm concerned, we'll take whatever it is they have to say at absolutely face value. Absolute equality exists on this phone-in. And then we'll take a look at those views and we'll see whether they can't just be adjusted and whether it makes the world a clearer, a brighter place. That's all. That isn't condescension. Genius. Samir calls from Battersea with this question. Kevin, you're on Talksport.
Hello, Tommy, all right?
Sure.
Hello?
Go ahead.
I was on about that bloke earlier about Charles Bronson.
Yeah?
That prisoner who's on telly. I wonder, like, how would he like it then if Charles Bronson's released and, like, he's living next door to him and he wants him to come in and tickle his toes one night?
Yes, it's a thought.
You know what I mean?
Yes, it's the point you make.
Because that's what that, well, you can't let him out, can you?
Well, then you wouldn't let anybody out, would you? Because the argument, I'm always a bit uncomfortable about the argument of how would you like it. Because then I don't know what we'd do. Because I wouldn't let anybody out of prison if they had to come and live next to me. Would you?
No.
No, so you wouldn't let anybody out of prison because they might come and live next to you in Battersea, which of course is
Well-
always possible.
Well, if they're out there, he's strong, isn't he? He's powerful and he's very headstrong, isn't he?
Yeah?
I wouldn't like to, like, I'd be a bit scared of him.
Why?
What? Oh.
How weak are the people who actually do live next door to you then?
Oh, it's not so much weak, is it? It's such this...
How do you know that they are both fairly
true.
strong and also completely and utterly on what basis do we trust our neighbours? Whenever anybody gets, here's the point. Whenever anybody actually gets arrested for some heinous crime, the next door neighbours always say, well, I'm really surprised because he was really, very nice and kept himself to himself, really. So you just don't know, do you?
No, true.
No. So, just watch out. Don't go out. Don't go out anymore. That's my advice to you. Don't go out.
I'll stay in.
Have your stuff sent over.
Yeah, I can't afford that.
Well, you can make a pizza last ages. Look at that bloke in the salad cream advert.
I ain't doing that.
I'm sorry. That conversation drifted a little bit, but so what? And maybe the two of you could thrash it out.
I think, it's like, it's got to be somebody that knew her,
Well, James in Wiltshire, you're on Talksport.
Yeah, hello, Tommy. How you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Yeah, I was just, it's more the media influence that worries me. It's whether or not the media has more of a say in things than, maybe the law does. Because, there was a girl who died in the same week, went missing in the same week, who was 12 years old, and basically nothing was said about her. But yeah, all this fuss was made about Sarah, and I was just wondering whether or not the media had more influence in things than perhaps people thought, and whether or not the media should have that much power.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too.
Oh, sorry, right, the media's the bad boy in this one.
Well, not necessarily the bad boy, but I think
I see. Oh, right, that's really interesting.
Well,
obviously,
so what is that? What do you get? The mob, right? The mob and the media.
Yeah, then there's the mob that drives the media, and the people.
The mob drives the media.
Buy what the media are printing, but you get all this fuss made about Sarah's law. But
well, you're reading it, mate. You're reading it. You're listening to it. You're watching it. Otherwise, you wouldn't know it goes on. So why do you read it? Why do you watch it? Why do you listen to it?
Because it's a compelling thing, and because people enjoy perhaps a little bit of drama in there.
So you want to read about it? You want to hear about it? You want to see about it?
Oh, I see. People want to read about it.
All right, but at the same time, it's the people who are making the information that you want available who are doing something wrong.
Yeah, it's the whole voyeurism thing. It's like this thing with Big Brother.
Which is you, pandering to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm not saying...
The media, by pandering to you, giving you what you want, and you in a democratic, free speech nation, giving you exactly what it is that you exactly want, the people who are doing that are in the wrong.
No, I'm not saying in the wrong. I'm just questioning whether or not the media should have that kind of influence on people.
Well, pin yourself down then and tell me what you do think.
This is just a question I'm throwing out to you. I'm just wondering whether or not what your thoughts on it all are. Whether or not you think the media.
As soon as you realise you haven't got an argument, then it's I'm wondering what the hell phone-in host thinks.
I'm having an argument. I just want to have a discussion with you.
As soon as the pair of you are on here saying that you question the power of the media, and yet you both rang up to find out what the phone-in host thinks. Why should you care what the phone-in host thinks?
Because we're listening to you, and if you want to make a good radio topic, if you want to have something to discuss on radio, then you should have an opinion on it.
Do you not see the contradiction in what you are saying?
Not
that the media might have too much... Well, I've just done it, actually. You weren't listening. If the media might have too much power, what on earth are you doing ringing up some bloke in the media and asking him what he thinks? Why should you care?
Because it's an entertaining evening's conversation.
Oh, so now you think it's entertainment?
Yeah, of course I think it's entertainment. Otherwise
you think it's entertainment to ring up and talk about a tragic child murder?
Well, I'm sorry. You honestly care?
Do you realise what you've just said?
Do you honestly tell me that you sit there and you think this is really tragic, and you don't just turn the page and think about something else and what's on TV the next night? You honestly tell me that you sit there and you think, this is so tragic, I should do something about it.
Let me just interrupt you, young man.
Go for it.
You're finished now with this call.
I'm quite finished. Go on.
You're finished now with this call because what you're saying is deeply offensive. You obviously are very young and you don't have children. And let me just tell you something that will happen to you if ever you become a parent. Okay? No incident like the one you're talking about, and referring, I grant you, casually and without a great deal of thought, as a topic for entertaining conversation, okay, will ever do anything other than haunt you because you find yourself wondering, what if it were my child? Now remember that this applies to every single person who is or has ever been a parent in the United Kingdom and around the world, and something that you won't fully understand
Okay,
until
so
you
if
have
you care-
children
if
of
you
your
care
own.
so much,
Now don't turn this into an attempt to win points. Just take one on the chin and go away and grow a little more, as I will do and everybody else will do. But you have growing to do in a particular area because your call hasn't worked. Okay? Okay. Really worrying. Slightly worrying. Apologies to anybody who, like me, felt upset by what that caller had to say. And Joan, insult is when you touch somebody. In the street, if you touch anybody, you know, kind of with malice of forethought, not like tapping on the shoulder, but when you touch a person's body, you run the risk of being guilty of an assault, depending on the circumstances and the reason for it. And if you choose to restrain somebody, or of course if you strike somebody, even if it's only just a mild push or a shove or whatever, okay? But when you are a teacher, you are given the protection of a law which I never fully understood, even though I've employed it, called in loco parentis. It's not a law, it's a guiding light, a piece of guidance in loco parentis. In other words, you behave towards the children in your care with everything that you would bring if you were that child's parent. Simple as that. Okay? Simple as that, that's all. But how you actually then write that down, it's like a radio station where discussions go on about whether the word bloody can be used, okay? All right? And then people suddenly realise that you can't actually say, well, it's okay until 9 o'clock. Well, oh, actually, no, after 9 o'clock. Well, but then, well, hang on, so 3 o'clock in the afternoon, well, that's possible, but what about it? What about bleeding? Is that, wow, you see, I'm beggar, and then you say it's slightly different. And I was watching Frasier the other night, and they kept going on about freaking this and freaking that, and we all knew what was being referred to. So what then happens is that people in management and in control and in government exercise common sense by saying that everybody who is functioning in whatever environment you're talking about, and in this case we're talking about education, should please employ common sense. This means the teachers employ common sense in the classroom, and parents of children operate common sense if they discover that their child has, for whatever reason, been disciplined. And prosecuting authorities also, and courts also, employ common sense when a possible case is brought before them for possible prosecution. And I think an awful lot of people acted without common sense in the case of this headmistress. And if the NUT and all the teachers' unions, and if the government gets sucked into it, but I doubt, were to employ absolute common sense in drawing up these guidelines of what you can and can't do when pupils are being particularly disruptive, all they really need to do is just write down, be sensible. That's all. That's all. Keep your cool if you can and be sensible. 08700 40 50 60 is the number to Andrew. That is how the riddle runs. It's a good one. Neil is mobile on the M1. Neil, you're on Talksport. Good morning.
Hello, Tommy.
Neil.
All right. It's just, about faith, Tommy.
Faith.
Fate.
Fate.
Yeah.
Fate.
Yeah. Do you believe in it, like?
No.
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 No, like if it was fated that...
No.
That you was going to get struck by lightning on a certain date.
Definitely no such thing. Definitely. You can be sure of that.
No matter what you do about it, you try and change it.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing.
Definitely.
Oh, you got a fate, Tommy.
Say it again?
I said, you've got a fate, Tommy. Everyone has.
No, that's cobblers.
Oh.
Patently cobblers. Because the only way you could verify that would be if you could be sure of the future. And you can't be sure of the future. So you cannot judge that something was certain to happen, can you?
Yeah, but if you could judge the future...
No.
Yes, you could. You could.
No, but you'll never know what the future is. No, this can't work. There is no such thing as fate. And I choose not to believe it, firstly because the evidence is overwhelming that there is no such thing as fate, and secondly because I prefer to believe that people have to choose and make their own destiny. It's a lazy man who believes in fate. A lazy, lazy man. Are you a lazy man?
Am I a lazy man?
Yes.
Just a bit, like, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Thank you for your call.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.